Okay, it's 2 o'clock, Monday, the 8th of November, 2021. Can I welcome you to the Cabinet meeting for the Vale of Glamorgan? I'll remind you that this Cabinet meeting is being live streamed and also recorded for posterity. Can I first look for apologies for absence? And looking around me, I see there are none. The next item is the minutes of the previous meeting. Can I have your approval to agree them, please? Yes, thumbs up.
Formally second, Leader.
Thank you very much. In that case, we'll go to something I usually forget, to receive any declarations of interest, if there are any, because I doubt whether there will be. No, they're not. In that case, okay. The next item is the agenda item 4, which is a reference from the Statutory Licensing Committee. It's in relation to the review of the Statement of Principles of the Gambling Act 2005, and it covers the area of 2022 to 2025. I think, Eddie, are you going to be taking this one or me?
Yes,
I don't know which.
Mind, Leader, thank you.
That's fine, thank you.
As the reference indicates, the licensing team manager presented this report back to committee on the statutory consultation required to renew the statement of principles prior to being considered by Cabinet and Council for final approval. Section 349 of the Gambling Act 2005 required that a licensing authority publish a statement and principles governing its licensing policy for a 3-year period, and the current statement will expire at the end of 2021. The report outlined the review and the renewal processes for 2022-2025 and a report back on the statutory consultation. The report itself detailed the prescribed processes for publishing the next statement of principles, including referrals to Cabinet and final Council for adoption. Having fully considered the report, it was subsequently decided by the Licensing Committee that the approach to the publication of the Vale of Glamorgan Statement of Principles for gambling functions for the period of 2022-2025 be endorsed. And I just need to point out some of the things that they covered off. As I said, the report shows that the current principles expires December 21. It's followed the process, and if you look at the actual report that was presented to the Licensing Committee, 1.1 says that it gives background to the policies that we require for giving premises licenses and permits, and we're required to have this as a statutory requirement. The consultation, let's see, it was 2020 was an extraordinary year, so clearly some of the things that affected it was the lockdown, so we haven't got any particular trends, but the report does indicate some of the changes that have happened with gambling, and from my own point of view, I was quite taken back that I thought gambling can be a concern. It didn't see that there was a rise, and in fact, as part of the consultation, Welsh St. Donat's responded. They didn't have anything to report to, but the lawyers that the Gosh Hawks that respond on behalf of the Betting and Gaming Council, they gave a response back saying that they were quite pleased with the way that the council had its principles, the way they were following the Gambling Act, and the consultation was actually published during July and August, and there's a list of responsible authorities that people are consulted on, and that includes local authorities and community councils and the like. So I suppose really that's the main report. There's quite a lot of detail in there and some interesting background, which I think members should go to, reference to, because not all members are on the Licensing Committee, but clearly we'll get an opportunity to speak about that at the council. But I've just moved this for Cabinet to note the report and to move forward.
Okay, that's fine. Can we? Do we need to endorse it? Maybe yes. Endorse it and refer to council on the 6th of December. Yeah, it is 6th of December.
Correct. Sorry, I meant to say that. Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, it's good. It covers all the angles, and I'm really pleased about the Betting and Gaming Council's comments too. Okay, that's fine. So basically we endorse the report itself and pass it to council for ratification and endorsement there.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
I will formally second that with pleasure. Okay, thank you. Everybody agreed? Somebody else wants to comment? No. Okay, the next item is a reference from the Community Liaison Committee. It is something which is request for consideration from the Wenny Community Council about rural roads policy. And I know there was quite a debate there. One way or another, and I think Peter, you're going to take this one, please.
Yes, thank you, Leader. In response to a request from UNE Community Council, the Operational Manager for Engineering made a presentation to the Community Liaison Committee on the 4th of October. And in short, the officer explained that the management of all roads in the Vale was undertaken based upon the council's statutory duties, and that the current policies and procedures already in place consider the nature and character of each road. And as you identify, a fairly wide-ranging debate followed that led to the recommendation before us today, specifically that Cabinet be requested to consider the establishment of a specific rural roads policy and its content to be compiled in collaboration with all town and community councils. I have to say, Leader, colleagues, that I have to be convinced of the benefit of such a limited policy, as frankly, I would anticipate this to be followed by a similar demand for a town's roads policy, where some of the issues faced in our rural communities are duplicated, notably speeding, as well as different issues. And if we end up with a rural roads policy and a town's roads policy, there's likely to be calls for a trunks roads through communities policy. And we will be where we currently are, with policies that are based upon the council's statutory duties and with policies and procedures that consider the nature and character of each road. I would also add that our highways officers are currently striving to deliver a number of schemes, some in rural areas and others in towns, and they are also under acute pressure to do significant background work towards the implementation of a 20-mile-an-hour scheme proposed by the Welsh Government. In short, I believe that our existing policies adequately cover our roads, whether they are in rural or urban areas, and ask the Cabinet to note this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I read the report in full, and I know there were some various issues, but some of the issues that were suggested are actually the same things that can be seen in any road within the county anyway. Notably speeding, people using rat runs and all sorts of things. Through whether it be the villages or not, and it is a factor that some of the rural roads are national speed limits, but that's not a matter that we can necessarily deal with. And the point that you made about the Welsh Government's consultation on 20 miles per hour and the so-called default to 20 from 30, and clearly there's a lot to be done there. But as you say, we meet our statutory responsibilities, so I'm happy to second your proposal and agree with your proposal. I don't know if everybody else got any comments to make. Clearly it is an issue if people are in the roads travelling on cycles, walkways, or using horses, as been commented in there. But clearly we have a policy and it's currently in place. So, okay, good, fair enough. In that case, I will move on. I will move on to one of my reports, which is the Draft Welsh Language Promotion Strategy, and this seeks Cabinet's endorsement of the Draft Welsh Language Promotion Strategy for 22-27 and for consultation, and then to review the assessment of the 2017-22 strategy. And I say this assessment of that because that comes to an end end of March 2022, and clearly we have to put another one in place, because the Welsh language standards require local authorities to carry out certain functions, and they're covered in the first part of the executive summary, which people can read for themselves really, but there are 7 points there. Things like publish, the fact that there's a 5-year strategy, the fact that there's a target to increase the number of Welsh speakers, a strategy to publish and revise different versions, and also publish an assessment on the website showing the number of Welsh speakers in our area, the age of the speakers, etc. So what this report actually does It's an assessment of the 2017-22 promotion strategy, and it's also a draft of the new 5-year strategy for 22-27. And what this report really does is seeks approval to consult on these documents in order to inform and then finalise the 22-27 promotion, and then to inform the document of any actions that needs to be pursued to meet those commitments. So basically, as I said, the Welsh Language Measure 2011 requires certain organisations, and we are one of them, to carry out certain actions. We're required to have this plan, and because there was, in fact, every local authority had the compliance notice, so the 172 standards in September 2015, one of which requires us to produce this 5-year plan and to assess things going forward. The strategy should be reviewed, and that's the purpose of this, and it needs to be updated. So the report provides Cabinet with the assessment of the current strategy of 2017-22, which is at Appendix A, and it also provides a draft of the promotion strategy for 22-27, which is at Appendix B, and the details of the proposed consultation process to inform the final draft. As I said, we have, in order to do this, we didn't do it ourselves. We engaged an independent assessment of the current criteria, and his report, and our report is, as I say, at Appendix A. The aim of the strategy was to carry out the 4 themes, which were in addition to some of the things we work with, partnerships and things like Welsh for adults, children, young people and families, community activities, and Welsh in the workplace, for example. And in fact, what's promising, I think, is if you look at paragraph 2.4, the section 8 of the assessment provides a general conclusion and summary of the recommendations made, and they conclude, and I will read it because I think it is important that it's, especially as we're in a Teams meeting like this, that the Vale of Glamorgan Council has clearly made significant progress since 2017 in terms of promoting the Welsh language, both internally and publicly, and has done so against a backdrop of ongoing austerity and the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic conditions. There are strong foundations upon which to build, and many of these targets and actions will continue in the new strategy. Much has changed since 2017, however, and so the draft strategy reflects current circumstances and has adapted its approach in some areas. So I think that's quite promising to have within the area. The draft is structured with 3 themes. So things like increase the number of Welsh speakers, to increase the use of Welsh and create favourable conditions, either in infrastructure and context. And it does set out a number of aims of each of the themes that the Council, in partnership with others, will pursue over the next 5 years. The purpose of this report really is to go forward with a consultation process, and you can see that we've been asked to approve it on the basis of consultation as described in paragraph 211, which shows the consultation period will run for 6 weeks, and the timetable is covered within that report itself. Not only will there be a public consultation, alongside that we will have a series of target-focused groups which will be held, and the strategy and its action plan will be reported for final consideration by Cabinet for implementation on the 1st of April 2022. So basically what we're asked to do is endorse the draft strategy, to endorse the consultation, and also to refer to the Learning, Culture and Scrutiny Committee and the Corporate Performance and Resources Scrutiny Committee as part of that consultation. So if I take you back to the recommendations are fairly straightforward. That the Cabinet approves the contents of this report and the assessment of the current strategy at Appendix A. The Cabinet approves the draft Welsh language promotion strategy for 22-27, which is at Appendix B, as the basis for consultation as described in the report. The Cabinet approves the consultation approach and timetable as set out in this report. 4, that the Cabinet refers this report and appendices to the Learning and Culture Scrutiny Committee and the Corporate Performance and Resources Scrutiny Committee as part of the programme of consultation. And finally, that the Cabinet receives a further report setting out the results of the consultation, a draft final version of the 22-27 strategy and accompanying action plan in due course, and therefore we will go forward and begin a new strategy with effect from the 1st of April. I think that covers most of it in a bit of a nutshell, but there is a lot of work go on, and there's a lot of commitment. And as I said, I read out that section because I think it was important that that's made public, to be honest. So I'm going to formally move those recommendations. I don't know if anybody wants any comments to be made otherwise, and if somebody will second that, please.
Leader, I think that your comments were completely comprehensive, and I'm delighted to second the report.
Thank you very much. In that case, that consultation will go forward. Okay, the next item is an item for local average interest rates. It's something we have to look at on a regular basis. It's housekeeping in some respects. We have to set interest rates on mortgages arranged since the 3rd of October 1980, and this rate must be set every 6 months or earlier if required by Welsh Government. We must charge whichever is the higher of the local average rate or the standard national rate. And currently, the rate of interest currently charged on mortgages is 4.96%. So what we're proposing in this is that the local average rate has been calculated as 4.84%. Because as I said, it has to be the higher of the two, the standard rate and the local average rate. The other thing that we've been asked to consider here is covered on paragraph 1.7, which is that we're asking to change the delegation rate to 0.2 from 0.1 as it stood last time, which is giving some delegation. So what I'm just formally going to do is that this authority declares the local average rate of interest as 4.84% from the 1st of November 2021, to reduce the council's mortgage interest rate from 4.96 to 4.84 with effect from the 1st of November 2021, and we delegate authority is given to the head of finance in consultation with the cabinet member for performance and resources to set the rate when the rate changes by less than 0.2%. So currently it's less than 0.1%, so that's a slight change. But it's just something so we can keep things under control, really. It's a bit of housekeeping, as I say. So can I formally move, please?
And formally second, Leader.
Thank you very much. In that case, we will move on to agenda item 8, which is the school and community-based counselling service for young people. And I think Liz, the cabinet member for education and regeneration, will be taking this report, please.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I will. This is a very simple report. In fact, it's to seek Cabinet's approval to undertake a tendering exercise, and following that to enter into a contract for delivery of school and community-based counselling service, and that's in line with the School Standards and Organisation Wales Act 2013. And going back, this is a service that's been provided by the council since 2008 in response to the Klug report, which was published in 2004. It's a service that's always been tendered out and provided by an independent organisation. It's very popular, and speaking recently to young people in the Pupils' Voice event that we held on Friday, they continue to be very concerned about the mental health and well-being of their fellow young people. So last year, as the report laid out, there were interventions with over 180 young people through 600 sessions. Now, this is actually significantly lower than pre-COVID numbers, where it was approximately 2,000 sessions per year. So where we'll see this bottoming out subsequently, we have yet to see. But the situation is that we can't further extend the current contract. So there's a requirement upon us to go out to an open tender and seek for submissions on that. So it's as simple as that. And the 3 recommendations that are before Cabinet today are, firstly, that Cabinet considers the information provided, noting the positive impact of the service on young people since its inception, and to delegate it to the Director of Learning and Skills in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Education Regeneration to prepare and issue tender documents in order to procure a new contract for the provision of counselling services. 2, that Cabinet delegates authority to Director of Learning and Skills in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Education and Regeneration to tender for and award a contract for a school and community-based counselling service. And thirdly, that Cabinet delegates authority to the Monitoring Officer, Head of Legal and Democratic Services in consultation with the Director of Learning and Skills to execute a contract with the successful bidder. And I therefore move.
Okay, thank you very much. As you say, quite a fairly straightforward release, so I'm happy to second. Does anybody else got any comments? No, in that case, that's agreed. Yes, we all agree. Good, thank you. The next item is item 9, which is the Cardiff Unveil Advocacy Strategy. And I think Ben, the Cabinet Member for Social Care and Health, is taking this one and indeed the next one too.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, this is a report on the Cardiff Unveil Advocacy Strategy. The Cardiff Unveil Strategy for Adult Advocacy Services was developed by the Vale of Glamorgan Adult Services in partnership with Cardiff Adult Services and the Cardiff Unveil Advocacy Network. The strategy sets out how anyone engaging with adult social care in the region is fully included in all decisions and is able to fully participate in the assessment and care planning processes as equal partners. The strategy will form the basis of a new contractual relationship with advocacy providers across the region by adopting a systematic co-productive approach with all stakeholders, forming purposeful collaborative relationships between local authorities, health boards and providers, sharing a common understanding of what advocacy is and the specific role of independent advocacy, and sharing a common agreement about when independent professional advocacy is appropriate, always considering its accessibility and application alongside other forms of advocacy. It's been a returning theme for the Scrutiny Committee and indeed for the various occasions where we've discussed people's involvement in the social services, the services they receive, that we make sure the voice of everybody is heard and that we understand that their needs are met. And so this is a great piece of work and something which, like I say, has been developed alongside Cardiff. And there are some recommendations around the sort of physical contracts that's going to come from that I'll read out. But I'm going to add another recommendation to refer the overall strategy to Scrutiny for their information and input. The reason why it's sort of the other way around is because we are in this we're trying to set this contractual relationship up, and so we've needed to establish this. But clearly, commentary and an ability to look at that strategy in the whole is always going to be something we're working on. So recommendations as currently written. Cabinet considers the content of the report and approves the publication of this strategy for adult advocacy services. The Cabinet delegates authority to the Director of Social Services in consultation with myself, Cabinet Member for Social Care and Health, to oversee regional arrangements for the procurement of new contracts for the provision of adult advocacy across the region, which Cardiff Council will take the lead on. And third, that Cabinet approves that the recommissioning of adult advocacy services be led by Cardiff Council on behalf of the region. Recommendation 4, what I want to add in, is that Cabinet refers the Cardiff Unveil Advocacy Strategy to Healthy Living and Social Care Scrutiny Committee for information, with an additional reason for recommendation 4, which is to provide members of the Healthy Living and Social Care Scrutiny Committee with the Cardiff Unveil Advocacy Strategy. And with those, I so move.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's good to keep the Scrutiny Committee informed, particularly as they've been asking lots of questions about it anyway. So yeah, okay. But we have to move forward quickly, I think, from reading the report. So I'm happy to second. Any other comments from anybody? If not, we all approve. Yep, we all approve. Good, thank you. The next item is item 10, which is external funding for Families First. Eddie, sorry, Ben, it's yours again.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Leader. Yeah, the report title is External Funding Families First, and on the face of it, this is another exercise in seeking permission to procure. So, you know, this seeking cabinet approval to undertake a procurement exercise for the delivery of a number of early intervention and support services.
Yeah.
Cabinet will also be aware that a number of projects are directly provided by the council as well as others in partnership. But to simply see this as a financial report, I think would be to miss the point of all of the incredible array of work that's done under the Families First banner. And the report goes into some detail about, you know, where we've come from, the journey we've been on. And I think, you know, to list out under 1.4 the 7 areas during 2021 where we were providing support, young carers, youth wellbeing, disability focus, families and children together. It's important to understand that support is there, and with this authority to go and procure the services, those existing and distinct projects are going to be continuing, but there is also a desire under 2.3 to, if additional funding will allow, to expand into child mentoring service, family support program for children with ASD, and domestic abuse projects. So I think there's such an incredible array of work, and I just wanted to take a moment to pay tribute to those staff that were providing these services during the pandemic, and you know, for the families who needed to access them, they were absolutely an essential service, and you know, I'm really proud of everything that has been done. But I think it's important to note, as the report clearly says, there are teams within learning and culture. There are teams, you know, within our leisure sectors as well. You know, they're all involved with supporting families and helping them access what they need. So this is a cross-council thing, not just a social services thing. So I'll go back to the formal recommendations. The Cabinet notes and supports the utilisation of the Families First grant. That authority is given to the Monitoring Officer, Head of Legal and Democratic Services, and Head of Children and Young People Services, in consultation with myself, Cabinet Member for Social Care and Health, to negotiate and execute appropriate contractual arrangements with delivery partners, including where tendering is required, to ensure the provision of the Families First plan, as described in paragraphs 2.2 and 2.3 in the report.
Okay.
And so move.
Okay, that's good. Perhaps you would like to add a third, is to actually formally give our thanks to all those who worked within the service, because I think you're absolutely right what you said. During the pandemic, there were many people who were at risk and needed the support that these officers from, as you say, all directorates were able to supply. So I think it would be nice to formally appreciate the work that has been carried out.
Absolutely. Yeah,
if you're happy with that.
Definitely, we'll add that as recommendation 3.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
No, I think thank you and thank the staff, I think, is more to the point. I'm happy to second. If anybody got any comments, you all happy with that? Good. In that case, we'll agree with that. Thank you, Ben. Item 11, I don't have anything as urgent under part 1, nor do I have anything as urgent under part 2. So that brings us to the end of this fairly short meeting compared to normal ones. So thank you for your forbearance, and we will be turning off the live stream in a second. So I would thank you for your attendance. Thank you.